Hello, Bookos. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Sorry, I struggle saying that with a straight face because let's be honest here, I don't do a good job. But I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying to be better at like long form content. I feel like I'm getting better at it. Anyway, book club week is approaching, and I thought I would go through all the books that I'm going to be reading over the course of the next week. For those of you who don't know, I run a book club organization here in New York City. It's called the Book Club for Book Hoes, hence hose. All of the book clubs take place within the first week or weekend of the month. It's kind of nice to just like start the month off, with like the busiest week of my life, and then I got the rest of the month to do all my other work and like work on events and things like that. The downside, which doesn't have to be a downside, but somehow I always find myself doing this, is that I end up reading so many books like the day of the book club. Part of it is nice because then I make sure that like everything is fresh in my brain and my notes all actually make sense, when I'm like moderating the discussion, but it is a lot of reading. So anyway, my book club reads all debut novels by debut authors. So we support a debut author's first novel, which is very exciting. And I'm going to go through what I'm going to be reading next week, starting tomorrow. Today's Monday, I guess. So today. Yeah. So the first one is actually not a book club book, but it is SALTCROP by Yume Kitasei. This is Yume's third book, and I am so excited to finish it. I'm about 50 or so pages in. I found out about Yume's work through her debut when we read it for book club a few years ago, which is The Deep Sky, which to this day is still like one of the greatest books I have ever read. It is so good. We had Yume on our podcast back when our book club had a podcast. We did an in-person author talk event with her, and it was fantastic. And then I got an arc of her second book, The Stardust Grail, and I was equally as obsessed with it. And my friend Ryan and I went to the release of that book, and it was so exciting. And then SALTCROP came out, or is coming out, sorry, but I got an arc of it a few months ago, and I was in the thick of it with my physical TBR. And so I told myself that this would be my treat for myself when I finished my TBR. Initially, it was going to be the first book that I was going to read like when I finished, but then I found out that Yume is having an author talk here in the city at the Strand, and I was like, wow, it would be so fun to like read the book like right, like finishing it as I'm heading over to the author talk. So I like am so immersed within the reading of it. So the author talk is tomorrow, and I started this book a few days ago technically, but then I put it down for a bit, and mostly just because I realized I was reading it too fast. I'm really liking it so far. It is a little bit different than her other work, but in a good way, and I'm loving it, and I can't wait for the author talk tomorrow. And this is what I'm currently reading right now. So once I finish this, we're heading into book club book territory. After that, we have the book for my fantasy book club, which is House of the Beast, which if you watched my physical TBR, you know that I have actually already read this book. This was one of the final 3 books on my physical TBR, and while I did read it, I am going to reread it just because it's been like 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since I read this book. I don't usually read the books that far in advance for book club, and I've read like 4 other books since. And while I do remember everything that happens in this book, I do like to read it closer to the date so then I can like take some more official notes to prep. So I'm going to reread this. This book club is on Wednesday, and this is the Fantasy Book Club. Step into the House of the Beast in this stunning dark fantasy debut from the Legend of Korra graphic novel illustrator Michelle Wong about a young woman who strikes a deal with a mysterious and alluring god to seek revenge on her aristocratic family, featuring illustrations throughout by the author. I really enjoyed it when I read it the first time. The illustrations are really fun. I mean, they're not fun, but like it's nice to have them. I'll probably skim a little bit through the moments that are still pretty fresh in my brain, but I'm looking forward to discussing this on Wednesday. Up next is Among Friends, which is for our Read the Room book club. Read the Room is kind of like the book club that's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more intimate. There's never usually more than 10 people at this book club, so it's really more of an opportunity for people to like really get to know one another and have a discussion. A celebration gives way to betrayal when a shocking act shatters the trust between families. Honestly, first I was drawn to the cover. I'm going to be so for real, but I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about this book. And so I have zero information going in, but I love a family novel. And so that's kind of why I chose it. But this will be for Thursday's book club. Friday is the Literary Salon book club, which reads literary fiction. And I have had Big Chief for quite some time. I think. There meets the Night Watchman in this gripping literary debut about power and corruption, family, and facing the ghosts of the past. Very exciting. Great cover. Literary Salon Book Club is also relatively small, usually, which is really nice. So I'm looking forward to discussing this one. Saturday, I have 2 book clubs because I'm crazy. So we always have our brunch book club on the first Saturday of every month, and that is in the morning, Saturday morning. And then every once in a while, we do book clubs that are usually lean more towards like romance. And it's called Wine Night Book Club, where we do a wine tasting with the book club. The book then for the brunch book club is called Atomic Hearts. A fateful summer of secrets and lies alters the trajectory of a young girl's life in this glimmering debut about love, addiction, and the power of storytelling. Once again, I was hooked in by the cover, but then I did have someone tell me that they really enjoyed it and they really liked it. So I am looking forward to it. Fantastic cover. Then for the Wine Night Book Club is a romance novel, and it's friends to lovers. Always each other's plus ones, but never each other's real dates. 2 childhood best friends have one last summer wedding to fall in love in this dual narrative debut. A grown-up, the summer I turned pretty, perfect for fans of Emily Henry. I figured this would be a good like beginning of fall book where it's like, okay, we're saying goodbye to the summer and now it's fall. My guess is, and I don't know how I would get this, is that this is going to be a friends to lovers trope. Oh my god. I have a feeling I will read this pretty quickly. I read romance pretty fast, but yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for a friends to lovers romance most of the time. Sunday is for our Femmes Book Club, which is our book club that focuses on main protagonists who are femme presenting, and just overall badasses or hot messes is usually, or a little bit of both, honestly. For that one, we are reading All That Life Can Afford. Sparkling with intelligence and insight, All That Life Can Afford peels back the glossy layers of class and privilege, exploring what it means to create a new life for yourself that still honors the one you've left behind. Great cover. Monday then is our murder mystery book club, Murder Mondays, as we have started to say. And so the book is Every Sweet Thing is Bitter. A woman with a violent past gets a chance at redemption in this upmarket suspense debut. I like to switch it up a little bit in the murder mystery book club where it's not always just like murder mysteries, but like suspense, thrillers. We did a romance thriller last month. Wasn't the biggest of successes, but it was fun to read. So at least we have that. And last but not least, we have our romance book club, which meets on the first Tuesday of every month, and we are going to be reading Up Close and Personal. A jaded journalist challenges a fitness expert to prove she isn't a scam in this swoony, steamy, hate to love romance. Cute! I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, how are you going to read all of those books in a week? And sometimes I really question if I will, and every time it still happens. So I'm not terribly concerned. I probably should be. But in the moment, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I'm thinking of doing a book club week vlog, just to, take you through the week, let you see what it's like, welcome you into the chaos, so to speak. So if that is something you would be interested in, please let me know, because I could also, tell you how all the book clubs felt about these books. I could tell you how I felt about these books. But thank you for watching. If you have any books that you are excited to be reading this week, please let me know. One thing I am reminding myself to say whenever I'm on YouTube is please like and subscribe. I promise it'll get better. Yeah, come back later to see if I finish all these books. And that's all. That's it.